This half hour will be focusing on the passenger rail agency. It has ambitious plans to repair and renew train services in the country. Prasa's challenges have been very public. Now, the next 5 years are crucial for their plan as they've set themselves a target of refurbishing 400 train coaches. But what else does Prasa need to do to get rail infrastructure working again and for that to stay? We are now joined by Dr. Mateta Mokonyama. He leads the Transport Systems and Operations area at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Thank you so much for your time, Doctor. We do appreciate it. I think the first question would be whether or not Prasa is able to sort itself out as an entity. We know that many thousands rely on this particular agency, and it just seems as though it cannot provide its main service.
Good afternoon, Heidi. It is possible for the problems that Prasa is facing to be resolved, but I doubt with this current structure that would be able to sustainably resolve the issues that they have. I mean, if you look at the SIU report that was produced, essentially it's saying that you've got an organization that has got serious cracks, and you cannot just put wallpaper on those cracks. You need to look at the causes and resolve those causes before you even think of doing things that about expanding services, modernizing, and so forth.
You speak about the SIU reports. I want to perhaps speak about the latest state capture report, where this report reveals the fact that the President Cyril Ramaphosa at the time, failed to protect and assist Popo Molefe, who was the chair of Prasa, from a massive crisis. We do know that the agency has been embroiled in corruption as well. That most definitely has a big role to play in the state of the agency, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Once again, there are causes and there are symptoms. And if you just focus on the symptoms and not look at the causes, you are not likely to solve the real problem that you have. If you look at the reports, the investigational reports that came out of Prasa, they show, for example, that when procurement did take place in some cases, services were not delivered. Things that were being procured were not delivered. Security that was being procured was not delivered in some instances. And therefore, if you're going to be pumping more money into that kind of an environment, what you're actually doing is, without solving the real problems, you're just worsening the situation. So you need to look at what were the causes of those problems, unpack those, and then you'd be able to address the issues that Prasa is facing at the moment.
I want us to speak about aging infrastructure and how important it is for the rail agency to repair its infrastructure and to constantly maintain it. You speak about the issue of security, and we'll get into it just now about how much Prasa is planning to spend on just securing their train stations because of vandalism and theft. But aging infrastructure is a massive problem.
Yes, and it's been a problem for a while. I mean, if you look at the Parliamentary Committee on Transport meetings from way back since the 90s, issues about maintenance have been raised since then. And the thing with maintenance, the more you ignore, it's not linear, it's exponential. The more you ignore to maintain, the more the problems increase, and they increase exponentially. So we should have sorted these issues a while back, but we haven't. And we have a country where we have an abundance of engineers who are well equipped to help us with asset management systems, be able to know what assets we have, the status of those assets, and what maintenance we need to have scheduled in over time to make sure that the condition of the infrastructure is maintained at an acceptable level. So we have the capabilities as a country to do these things, but there are other things that have come in that have prevented us to do these things.
Yes, I mean, you speak about the capability of this country and us being able to have the rail agency work properly. If you think about, I'm not sure which State of the Nation address it was, where the president spoke about us having smart cities, and we all said, well, our trains don't even work, so how could that even be possible? And it's extremely vital for our transport infrastructure to be functional and working, but it seems as though there's a lot of vandalism and theft that's at play here, and I'm sure this has a huge impact on some of the work that is trying to be done and to sort out the rail infrastructure. It just almost takes it a few steps back, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And at the heart of this, is what's called accountability. You have the public pumping, say, 7 billion every year to the operations to say that you'll keep these operations alive. But then the number of passengers who make use of these services has been dwindling over the years, but you still keep on pumping the same amount of money into the system. So the contract between the people and the agency has actually been breached. So why should I keep on pumping that much money when I'm not getting, the value from the system? So we need to find a way of improving the culture of accountability. And at the moment, Prasa is essentially structured as a law unto itself. It's accountable to itself, although it's accounting to the Minister of Transport. It's really, in essence, accounting to itself. If I don't meet a deadline, what consequences are there in the contract? If I don't do what I'm supposed to be doing, if I don't transport the numbers that I'm supposed to be transporting, what consequences are there? If I make promises, I don't keep them, what consequences are there? So we need to find a way of improving that culture of accountability. And that would certainly come from, separating the ownership of the infrastructure from the operations, of the infrastructure, and having an authority that oversees all of that.
Do you think there needs to be an overhaul of the people working at Prasa? And you mentioned the transport minister, because we have seen CEOs come and go, we've seen officials come and go, and the problems remain at the rail agency. Do you think it's a people problem, or do you think it's a system problem?
Well, the SIU report, the recent one that came out and published through Parliament, it shows that there are serious problems within Prasa. There are, very many good people in Prasa. We know them, but also there are people who are, got vested interests that essentially are sabotaging the agency. So you need to address those things, because if you don't, then you keep on having the same problems. We may be pumping a lot of money like Prasa is doing now. We'll be pumping billions into this, but if we haven't sorted out those issues that the SIU has identified, then we haven't solved the problem. That money may be going, elsewhere, may not be creating value, for the organization. So certainly there are, individuals that need to be, attended to, as, through identified by those reports. But there are many, good people as well in Prasa.
Certainly. Well, we just hope it gets sorted out. Thank you so much for your insights. We do appreciate it. That was Dr. Mateta Mokonyama, the Transport Systems and Operation Manager at the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Thank you so much for your time.